Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Today, let's look at the whole Benue State killings. That very, very unfortunate, that heart-wrenching story of killings in Benue. It's been called a number of things. It's either bandits or it's farmer headsman clashes, although there are those who say it is neither. We'll be hearing about that as we have a series of contributors to today's conversation. But just before we bring them on, let's look at this background report for, somebody might just have flown into the country or something. Just something to wrap it all up so that we can take it from there.
They fired for almost 5 hours. They met a stiff resistance here from the police.
They have killed 3 persons in a house. That was the starting of the massacre. Yes. So as that happens, then we are afraid. And that was at my own personal area. Yeah, my family members affected, there are 5.
These are recounts of the attack that happened on Friday night in Yewata community of Guma local government area of Benue State. Days after, this is what's left of the killing and destruction of lives and property, one which has drawn the presence of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun. This visit aims to strengthen security presence and coordination in the area, while Security Chief assures victims and survivors of the federal government's commitment to restore peace and justice.
We're here to ensure that we address such. From now, I'll be going to see my commanders, and we have to change our strategy. We're going to look inward and see how we can address it. But like we mentioned, we cannot do it alone without the community, without the state. We need everybody to be part of it. And so I've discussed with the communities, the traditional rulers, with the clergy, for us to work united.
It is not just an attack on the people of Benue State. It's an attack on the entire nation. And we are not going to accept it. The people of this community are not alone. We are with them. The entire Nigerian communities are with them. When these bandits will come to operate as they used to, and they will never return.
The state governor, I sent earlier, says that their visit restores the confidence in the people as hope of ending the killings is high.
The presence of the Chief of Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, and the IGP mean quite much to me, and definitely the people as well.
It's expected that drastic measures are taken and action to guide against reoccurrence of such killings and destruction is put in place. Mayowa Okunwato, TVC News, Makodi.
Okay, so there we have it. As we're looking at the caption, the military has been deployed by the president for air surveillance. Inspector General of Police takes over security. As I said, it's been a harrowing time for the entire nation. As a matter of fact, over 200 people are reportedly killed in very recent times, and so here we are. We have a number of guests that will be, coming on the program this morning. But I think we have Mr. Daniel Ihomo on the line already. Mr. Daniel Ihomo is APC Benue State Publicity Secretary. Good morning to you, Mr. Ihomo. If you can hear us, your phone is muted. Could you just unmute your phone, please? If you can hear us. Daniel?
Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Thank you very much. Good morning again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Yeah, we just started the program, and you are the APC Benue State Publicity Secretary, Mr. Daniel Ihomo. Let me take your overview of the situation, because, well, it would appear that what the governor has been looking for he's been wanting a massive sort of assistance input from the federal authorities, but now we're hearing that the military has deployed for air surveillance, and the Inspector General of Police has taken over our security. Is this making an appreciable difference on the ground?
Let me first of all say that what happened in Yellowwater, that killing, is a dark episode on the history of Benue, and it will never be erased. We are mourning the death of over 200 persons who were just killed unprovoked. And so for us, there's nothing that can pay for what has happened to us. And we are gutted. We feel sad about it. And I like words to express, because if you look at the carnage, you look at what happened in Yellowwater, it's so bad. And we as a people, we saw this coming, because from day one, we started talking about this matter, this killing first. It was denial, from people from government. It was denial, and then later it was rather skirmishes and all. And so I think that enough was not done. Enough was not done to prevent this genocide on our people.
Perhaps one can, one can empathize, one can, understand how you feel. But, the president had said in his initial statement, way before all of this, that he had instructed all the authorities to get to the bottom of this, conduct their investigations, make sure that those that are guilty are apprehended, and indeed proper reaction to their actions following investigation. Well, if this is pursued with vigor, with gusto, might that help, do you think? As you said, nothing can replace the over 200 lives that have been lost. But at least if there's an effort to get to the bottom of it, who were responsible, are you optimistic that this can indeed happen?
The government of the state didn't do enough. They didn't do enough. Why these killings were going on? Why, there was no single security stakeholders meeting in Benue. Not to give opportunity to religious bodies, to leaders, political leaders in the state, to the traditional leaders, to even the clergy, to bring out, come in to put in to hear from them, governors put together ideas on how to stop this carnage. That was not done. People were downplaying this whole scenario. And until it came to this point. Yes, we had security, we had the federal government has sent security, to our state, but it is much beyond that. How did we mobilize our people in these areas, in these communities, to raise alarm or to begin to protect themselves before this thing happens? It is not enough just to send security forces to these areas. We have to listen to these people. To give them information, because the security forces cannot work without information from these communities.
Yes.
Because these communities are not known to them, and so there was nothing done in the state to protect our community.
That was then.
It is my belief now, though, that
yes,
that now that the eyes of the country has been turned towards our state, I believe that Africa will come. I want to first of all commend the young Benue people, the youth that came out to protest and were tear gas for standing their ground and putting the state on the map. I also thank Very Dark Man, who also came to our state to stand with the people of Benue. This is what we want, because you cannot cover such a thing. And also, now that the president is coming, it is my hope and belief that things will be taken serious the state, our governor will galvanize people together, call for a security meeting, and this issue will be tackled once and for all. Enough of the killing, this killing in our state.
Indeed. Indeed, enough of the killing. And as you mentioned, everybody has got involved, even social activists, private social activists, that you just mentioned one of them. And harrowing pictures have since been released on social media showing children, showing, minors, well, it did look as if they were actually burnt in there. So if it wasn't taken seriously before, why do you think that was the case? Is it that they thought it was exaggerated? Because now everybody is focused on the president is coming to town tomorrow. He said he's going to adjust his schedule and be there to commiserate with the people of Benue State. Is it that this situation was badly misjudged when the alarm was raised? Is that what you think it was?
Yes, I believe that the government did not give listening ear to the cries of the people. He has people around him that can give information. We have political leaders in our state that he will call them. They have these leaders. They come from these communities. They will give you, if you call them together, they will give you good information about what is happening in their communities. But he did not call for a meeting. He did not listen to anybody, and he was just thinking that maybe it was done by by perceived enemies, which was not the case. We have had this crisis since 2016, for God's sake, and this only listen. Look, our people are peace-loving people, and they want peace in our state. And if you call them to the table to dialogue, they will give you solutions, provide so that we nip this crisis in the bud. We would have got to this point if the government had listened to the cries of the people. But rather, his aides were coming out on air to deny it, and so on and so forth. And we got to this point. So I believe that, hence, going forward, something drastic must be done. We must put our hands together. The government must open its ears to even people, to even his perceived enemies, and listen to their advice on this matter.
Okay. By the time that the governor went public, he went on television, and that went all around. When the governor was saying that there were people involved from, was it the National Assembly or that politicians were involved in all of this, wasn't that a sufficient outcry?
Well, I didn't get your last question. I didn't get your last question.
Okay, the governor, Governor Hyacinth, he had gone on television saying that he did believe that this one goes beyond whatever anybody wanted to call it, that there were politicians involved in perpetuating the violence going on in his state. Wasn't that clear enough of an alarm raised by the governor?
Look, my brother, let me tell you, there is no politician in our state that will take arms against his people. This is very clear. There is no politician, be it in the PDP, in the APC, in Labour Party, or whatever party, that will take up arms against his own people. Who will vote for you in the very first place if you do that? And so I think the governor was misinformed about what was happening, and so he wasn't clear on the matter. Look, these are people who have voted, even him into power. And so I believe that if he had listened, if he had taken away emotions, of perceived enemies, and call everybody to the round table to discuss this matter, we would have got to this point. At all, we would have got to this point.
Okay. Now, the president has said that he's given a directive that the perpetrators must be found and must be dealt with according to law. How optimistic are you of this? Because now we know that the Inspector General of Police takes over the security of the place.
we welcome the president to our state, and we welcome his the IG and security chief, and we hope and pray that things will get better in our state. We hope and pray that things will get better. But also let them know that we had a law in our state, the anti-open grazing law, which was done by our people, by the assembly. That law will have to be revisited. It has to be, you know, that law has to be respected. That law was the decision of the Benue people, and that law has to be respected. It has to be implemented to the latter. If that law was implemented, this would have happened.
Okay.
We had National Guard and they had vehicles before. Those vehicles that we were using to protect our communities were rather taken to Benue to carry luggages. So it is wrong. But I believe that with the coming of the president and the general police and security chiefs, there will be a change.
Yes.
But because we need this change and we need it now.
Why was that law flouted? As you said, it's a law. It was, you know, put in place by the State House of Assembly. Why were people able to flout that law and just carry on as if we don't like it and so we don't care about it, we're not going to obey it? What about the policing arm?
The law is not enforced.
It is not enforced.
When we came to, the Governor came to power, he neglected that law. And these people started coming back into our state. And when they started pouring into our state, he was not saying that it was members of the Nigeria Assembly who wrote a letter and dropped at the Nigeria border for this army of parliament to come back come into our state. So that law will have to be enforced.
Wow. Well, let me understand it. The law exists, but hasn't been implemented or enforced. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the past administration of Governor Otom implemented that law.
Yes.
But when Governor came to power, he relaxed the law. There was nothing happening.
Okay.
The enforcement was not there. And when you don't enforce the law, it will not bite. Until you can't just back, you must bite. So the enforcement of the open grazing law is very key. And if that enforcement was done, we would have got really peace in our state. Because of course, when this law was enforced, these headers left our farms and our communities. Of course, they were little, you know, breaches here and there, but it was not at this magnitude.
Well, okay. I mean, thank you very much. You know, it is a very, very unfortunate situation. But you, can I just ask, what's the state of, you know, is Benue calm now? Is that possible, given the situation? Is Benue calm? Because the news would have filtered out.
There's tension in the state, but with the announcement that our dear president is coming to the state, there's a little, people are starting getting calm. People are expecting that our president will come, and when he comes, he will give a message to the people, will talk to the people, you know, directly, and they will also talk to him. They will tell him their pains, and they expect that whatever they tell the Mr. President, it will be implemented in our state, and peace will return. Okay.
All right then. Well, I want to thank you very much, you know, for coming on, and you know, we really do appreciate you, Mr. Ihomom. Mr. Ihomom, you know, APC Benue State Publicity Secretary. We really appreciate your coming on.
And I'm not happy.
Nobody is. Nobody is. Okay, we'll take a quick break now. Do please stay with us. We'll be right back.
And go see.
Okay, welcome back. We're looking at the very, very unfortunate situation of the killings in Benue State. Reports have it that over 200 people, women, children, and men have been killed. The president actually will be visiting the place tomorrow. He said he's going to make adjustments to his calendar. He must go and visit them tomorrow. And, well, we spoke first of all, with the APC Benue State Publicity Secretary. Now we have in the studio here Honorable Philip Agbese of the House of Representatives. He is the member representing Ado Okpoko Ogbadio constituency and is the deputy spokesman in the House of Representatives. Honorable Philip Agbese, good morning to you, sir.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Yori.
Yeah. So we've just been bemoaning the situation we have on our hands. It's a long-standing situation. It didn't just start yesterday. But do you think we are now sort of set to deal with this decisively? Because in the most recent iteration of the problem, over 200 human beings were killed.
Well, Mr. Yori, it's quite unfortunate, and from the look of things, there is nothing so far to suggest that we are ready to tackle this problem. And why did I say so? Yes, it's unfortunate. I must admit, as a member of the ruling party in Benue State and even at the center, that we have failed our people in Benue State. Our government has failed. And that is because the man who is supposed to be the leader, to drive this, the governor of the state, has actually failed. We didn't know clearly. There is a school of thought, that says that the APC got someone who was just learning how to drive a B2 car, and then we decided to hand him, a Marco Polo luxurious bus, to drive. So what did he do? Immediately he got on board as a driver. He ensured that all the passengers were dropped. He started by flogging the conductor, and then now he's jamming and killing people on the road everywhere, and we are looking for who to blame. I don't believe that's exactly the situation, but the body language of the governor suggests that that school of thought is correct. There's also another school of thought that during the campaign, some person somewhere, visited somebody, and a group of people mobilized some resources and gave to somebody, to contest election to become the governor of the state. And because of that, that person came on board and decided to relax the existing legislation that made it impossible, for headers, to graze all over the state and cause the kind of havoc that we're experiencing today. But the most unfortunate part of this today is that we have a man, who is not even ready to own up to the situation. This is exactly 2 years and 1 month in office that all of us, we came on board, and the first thing he did was to abandon the party's manifesto. We had campaigned, because this problem has been there for a long time. We campaigned to our people. We promised that we're going to relocate them from the IDP camp back to the ancestral home. That we didn't do. We went to him, in the early stage of the administration to remind him about the party's manifesto, and he said it's just an empty promise. It's a mere manifesto. He has his team. He's going to put up, a robust administrative blueprint to deliver the state. But what kind of blueprint can you render when people are being killed everywhere? It took, more than 200 lives. It took the Pope. It took the United Nations Secretary General, to tell us what is going on in Benue State before the governor owned up to the fact that, yes, people are being killed. In the first instance, he said, he accused the Benue people of killing themselves. He said it was a communal clash. He called it in his own word. He says skirmishes, like a quarrel between a husband and his wife, and he refused to own up. We had killings in the Sakara Aziz, where you have Ukum Logo and Kasinala local government. Members of the National Assembly drew the attention of the federal government to this fact. Just like a church, when members of the church are praying and crying to God that they are suffering, and the bishop, who is the head of the church, is busy telling God that he has really blessed the church and the people are happy.
Yeah.
So each time we tell the federal government, we tell the security agencies, this is what our constituents are facing. The governor will come on board to say no. And he preaches falsehood. He decorates the situation, with languages that are quite unfounded in the situation that we have found ourselves. There's no empathy on the part of the state government. There's no form of collaboration or partnership between the state government and the federal government. Good and fine that President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be visiting Makurdi tomorrow. He's coming to sympathize with the people.
And he also will probably find out a bit more for being there. I mean,
well, you see, there's nothing in that kind of situation where everybody is together. I'm aware that people are already being given script, of what to say tomorrow when the president is there. I can't betray my people. This is not a time for any one of us, to lie. It's not a time.
It's not a time for important and delicate thing that you've just said.
Yes, so the right thing, I believe the security agencies are there. They're the right people to carry out intelligence gathering, to know exactly what the situation. Because today or tomorrow, the governor is going to come on air again to lie to Nigerians, to tell Nigerians that nothing is happening in the state.
Okay, one moment, please. Let me bring on our security analyst, Kabir Adamu, head of Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited. A fine morning to you, Mr. Adamu. Thank you very much for coming on.
Uncle Yori, good morning. Unfortunately, the circumstances of our conversation are not so pleasant.
Indeed, indeed.
And of course, my heart goes out to not just Benue State, but the generality of Nigerians in several other states who have the victims of the threat actors that we're going to discuss shortly.
Yeah. Okay, now skirting around it for the moment, because I understand a massive investigation has been ordered, and so let's wait on the result of these investigations. But there are already, speculations as to who has been responsible for what, and people have talked about the anti-grazing law being central to all of this. Clearly, it is not liked by the herders, and so apparently they've been able to abandon it as well. And the speaker we had before, you and my guest in studio, Honorable Philip Agbese, had said that this was a problem. People were carrying on the way they looked. The previous administration had tried to implement it, but the allegation is that this administration, had just let it fall where it would. What do you think how do we get to the root of this problem? Is it land grabbing? Is it herder-farmer clashes? And in the light of the president having ordered a thorough investigation and those responsible be apprehended, what do you think is going on from your own security overview?
So, Uncle Yori, if anyone who has just listened to my two other discussants, who are incidentally from Benue State, and who, for understandable reasons, are quite emotional and, of course, politically oriented, would understand the complexity in Benue State. Yesterday, I put out a statement on my LinkedIn page, and I know time would not allow me to go into all the details of the issues, but there are four components to the complex security situation in Benue. Number one is the environmental issue, of course, climate change and the consequences of climate change. Number two is political, and that worries me more than the first one. The fact that political leaders in Benue have turned security, or the lack of it, into a weapon to achieve their objectives. The two camps have emerged in APC, and just like we saw in the protest that happened 2 days ago, which was a power dynamic to demonstrate to the governor that they can achieve such, an effort, and in the process block the way, burned a trailer that was innocent, had nothing to do with the crisis. And as a country, we've kept quiet about that, even though the police have said they've arrested about 20 persons. So that's number two, that political dimension. Number three is the socio-economic circumstances in Benue State. One is a state that, in spite of being the food basket of the country, the youth bulge is probably more obvious than any other state in the country at the moment, for the simple reason that industrialization is almost at zero. And politicians are not discussing that at the moment. They are busy accusing fingers at each other. Instead of focusing on an industrialization program that supports the value chain for all the food items that they have in the country. That's not what we're hearing. Number 4 is the existence of what I would call ethnic militias. And not just the herdsmen militia that we're discussing. There are thief militias, there are jukun militias, and of course, the saddest part is the criminal gangs that also exist. Criminal gangs that are associated, sadly, with politicians. And this is very personal to me, Uncle Yuri. In 2016, 2017, I did an intervention in Benue State, in the border area between Benue and Taraba. 3 of my staff were abducted and forcefully coerced into a militia that was then run by the late Ghana. Till date, those 3 persons have not come out. So nobody will tell me that militias don't exist. They do exist. They are sometimes incorporated by politicians, and so this is kind of the complex nature. Of course, the 5th one, which is very obvious to everyone, is the existence of the federal security agencies, the state-level security agencies. The last time I counted, there are about 4 state-level security agencies, and then, of course, the community-level security agencies. But in spite of their existence, we still see killings happening on a daily basis. So it is time to take a step back and demand for accountability from the federal, from the state, and to the community level. Because, again, it's very important that we take note of this. Even if it's ants that you gather up to 100, Uncle Yuri, there will be a spot that you see a spot. But in this instance, over 100 people were killed. Not one of the perpetrators was arrested. Not a single evidence has emerged to show who the perpetrators are. Come on. And then I hear politicians discussing in the manner that they are discussing in your studio. No, we are better than this as a people, and we must demand for accountability. Let politics go to one side, and then let security stay where it is. Without security, our democracy is being threatened. And this is what politicians in Benue, politicians in Sokoto, in Kebbi, in Zamfara need to realize. The primary responsibility, as stated in Section 14, subsection 2 of our Constitution, is to provide security for the people. And if they are failing and now throwing blames against each other, we demand better as a people, and we need to see that. I have put forward in that LinkedIn post the various layers. There are 6 layers of public security that we need in Benue State. Number 1 is the ability to detect the element. Number 2 is the ability to deny them to kill people. Number 3 is the ability, even when they come to attack, if we can't deny them, let's delay them. And then it leads to the 3rd one, response capabilities, and then our review capabilities, and then our recovery capabilities. Anything short of this, Uncle Yuri, it's a failure. The only state at the moment in Nigeria that has achieved near that is Lagos, where you are. And that is why you are experiencing a semblance of peace within Lagos. Let the governor of Benue State, let the politicians who are trading blames among themselves take a trip to Lagos, sit with the governor, and study how he has been able to put in place these 6 layers that I've just mentioned. Otherwise, they can invite people like me and several others who understand public security to support them, put in place a system, a structure that is able to achieve these 6 layers that I've mentioned.
All right. Well, I just do want to thank you, Kabir. Security analyst Kabir Adamu, head of Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited. We understand that you have to be off to another engagement, but it was the importance of this subject that made you say, look, you will come in briefly. I want to thank you very much for that. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So to come back, from a professional security man's perspective, are there aspects of it, because there are some aspects of it that I thought you might want to come in on?
Well, the things that he has mentioned are the very things that we have proposed to the governor, and these are some of the issues that we have also put out, in the National Assembly to the federal government through, interaction with the Chief of Defense.
But there's been no action.
Yeah, and this is where the problem has been. The governor, times without number. For instance, let me take on his interview yesterday, where he said the problem was in 17 local government areas. He pushed the problem to 9 local government areas, and he has now pushed the problem to 3 local government areas. The 3 local government areas he was referring to, Was it talking about Guma, Makurdi, and Gwe East in just one senatorial district where we have this problem? Is he talking about my senatorial district where out of the 9 local government area, we have problems in 5, where we have problem in Oju, the crisis between Oju and Bonta and Okpute militia? Or is he talking about the problem in Ogbadibo where our women and children are being kidnapped by herdsmen? Or is he talking about Apa, Agatu, and Ojupo local government area where over 500 persons have been killed? So for the chief security officer not to even understand the situation is the biggest problem that we have in Benue State.
And that's the part that surprises me, because you would think that as the chief security officer, as we say locally, he would be very knowledgeable about this problem. So why would he not be able to do the needful? Even the president said he has spoken with the governor at length with a view to getting more concrete results.
You see, Nkuyori, you cannot get, assuming that you are a patient and you have stomach ache and you go to the doctor who is supposed to heal you and you tell him the problem is headache, how are you going to have any solution to the problem? We are not getting the right medication because the person who is supposed to tell Nigerians and the federal government the truth has refused to tell them the truth. And because of his position, he has rather used it to his advantage without any iota of empathy for these people, for the families who have lost their loved one. Okay, look at what happened in Makurdi on Saturday when youth came out to protest the killing of their brothers and sisters. He mobilized the Air Force, the military, the police, militias, and everybody, including thugs, you know, to disrupt the peaceful protest being organized by these people just to protest the killing. Is anybody, even if you are not from Benue State, anywhere in the world, are you not supposed to be pained that over 200 persons who are under, you know, your care are being slaughtered, burnt? Is this not enough, you know, to be called a genocide? Is it not enough even for Mr. President to declare a state of emergency in Benue State? Look at what happened in Rivers State. Mr. President declared a state of emergency. Not even a single person has been killed. And here in Benue State, we have lost over 500 persons to the activities of killer herdsmen. And the man who is supposed to brief the president on the right step has decided to toe the path of falsehood.
Well, and I'm surprised at that. This is what you are alleging. But I'm surprised at that because you're from the same party. And there's a roadmap. There's a...
Nkuyori, the man has abandoned the roadmap. He has abandoned the party manifesto. In fact, if Mr. President is to be well properly briefed, I believe that people must have spoken to Mr. President to tell him that this man, as governor of Benue State, has become, you know, a bad publicity for the image of the APC in Benue State and even in the country at large. What exactly is going on? I know before I became a member of the APC, in the first instance, I was human. And I'm going to be human after the party, after the office. So I cannot be, in the name of being a member of the All Progressive Congress or being a member of the governor's political party or Mr. President's political party, you know, begin to decorate the killing of my brothers and sisters in Benue State.
Indeed.
I can't do that.
But the unfortunate thing here is that you and him, you are both members of the same party. You ordinarily, it would seem...
This is not the time for party politics. It is time for us to resolve this issue because tomorrow we don't know where next these guys are going to strike. We don't know who is going to be killed tomorrow.
But what I meant by that is that information would be available. So that's the part that confuses me a bit. He has a whole cabinet. He has, you know, he has an executive board. What's going on? Do they not understand what the issue is? Do they not have an intelligence committee in there?
Nkuyori, this is exactly 2 years in office. He has a cabinet, he has a team. And when you have a team that is not delivering, a team that is not helping, you know, to support your agenda, what do? You relieve the team and go for a new one.
Well, yes.
If you employ a builder to do a building for you and that is not going well, you are going to disengage them and get a new team on board. So far, the governor himself has not demonstrated to have the needed capacity, the intellectual capacity to confront the issues, other than introducing new grammatical errors on television on a daily basis as to the issues around the problem. And I believe that the governor is being deliberate about the problem. He's been deliberate.
The part that confuses me a bit is that the previous administration, we have heard, did indeed implement the anti-grazing law.
And they got some level of result.
They got some level
At
of
least
results.
before the election, the past administration was able to subside the problem to a certain level. And we inherited that problem. And we promised the people that we're going to completely solve the problem. We promised the people of Benue State as a political party and as people who campaign together with His Excellency, the governor, that we're going to return all the IDPs. And it was on the basis of that they voted us. They voted us because His Excellency, Mr. Governor, had promised that he was going to return all the IDPs back to their ancestral home within his first 100 days in office. Within the first 100 days in office, he was not able to achieve that. He did not go back to the people to tell them why he was unable to achieve that. He didn't make any effort even, to solve that problem. Instead, today, virtually everybody in Benue State is living in an IDP camp because even people who have not left their home are now sleeping without their eyes closed. It is a big problem for all of us. And what I believe, if we do not tell Mr. President exactly where the problem is, remember, I want to take you back to the statement by the President on this issue. He said that the security agencies should go back and implement earlier directive.
Yes.
Earlier directive, meaning that there was a directive for this issue to be tackled, but along the line, because when members of the National Assembly, we took it upon ourselves to approach Mr. President and call on Nigerians to help us, that we have a problem in Benue State. Mr. President gave that directive. And when the governor was to give his own side of the story, he said, no, nothing is happening in Benue State. It was just mere skirmishes. And because of that, the security agencies relaxed the earlier directive. But now that over 200 persons have been killed and Mr. President has seen that, a serious-minded president like President Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, I'm no longer going to Kaduna. I'll be in Benue within the next 72 hours. He has further said, security chiefs, chief of defense staff, inspector general of police, move quickly to Benue State. Get there. Implement the earlier directive, because what Mr. Governor told me before we relaxed this directive no longer looks like the situation. How can 200 of my citizens, over 200, killed, murdered in their homes, slaughtered, burned to ashes?
So what do you expect the situation to be tomorrow when Mr. President lands there? The governor, of course, will be the chief mourner and the chief host. In the light of what you've just said, that it must be in Mr. President's thinking, that what do you think will happen?
Well, literally, His Excellency will be the chief mourner, but the fundamental question in this situation, his body language and the way he has conducted himself since this incident took place, is he truly mourning? A man who is mourning, are you not supposed to show some level of empathy for your own people? But the man has carried on as if nothing has happened. He has carried on with the same campaign of falsehood and calumny against a segment of leaders of the state. So how do you achieve what I would expect a serious-minded governor to do is to go before Mr. President, even tomorrow, and say, Mr. President, let us have a quick brief one. This is exactly the situation. We have serious problems in Ogbadigbo local government area. We have serious problem in Otukpo local government area. We have serious problem in Apa, in Agatu. We have serious problem in Ukum, in Logo, and in Kwande. We have serious problem in Makodi, in Guma, and in Gwe East.
Virtually all over the place.
Yes, about 11 local government area. Yes. I say, Mr. President, you are our father. This crisis has actually overwhelmed us. I wasn't prepared for this. If there's anything, legitimately within the framework of the Constitution that you can do as our father, to help us in Benue. And honestly, if I were the governor, I would even tell Mr. President, if there's anything you can do, probably like what you have done in Rivers to restore that state. Today, Fubara is happy because he has seen that, normalcy has been restored in Rivers. He has seen that normalcy has been restored in Rivers. Peace has returned to Rivers. Governance has picked up. Mr. President, I wouldn't mind going on a 6-month leave like Fubara is in Rivers, to ensure that you put things in place. Because he didn't meet the situation of Benue in this state. I'm very sure that when we were campaigning, if this was the situation, His Excellency Governor Alia wouldn't have envied being the governor of Benue State today.
Where did these people who are causing all this havoc, where have they emerged from?
Let me borrow from Mr. Governor's narrative. In one of the narratives, he said these persons are from Niger or Mali. I don't know the security intelligence he got before he made that comment. He said they don't speak the traditional Fulani. I don't know who was there, because for you to know who speaks traditional Fulani and foreign Fulani, it means that you understand one of the Fulanis. To know that one is original and one is international. So who gave him this report? In another vein, His Excellency the Governor has told us that the people causing the problem are terrorists, are headsmen, and whatever. And again, he has also accused, he said the people in Abuja, politicians are behind it. He has not mentioned names.
No.
Right.
I think he was. I think there was.
And in another vein, he accused his own brothers and sisters of being responsible. And that takes us back to Mr. President's statement when he said, is this reprisal? Reprisal, who killed who before who is now attacking back? Because for you to say it was a reprisal, it means somebody had attacked another person, and the other person probably came with, higher use of force or disproportionate use of force to now cause havoc. So all these are in the conjectures of Mr. Governor, just to take Nigerians and Mr. President mind away that he's incompetent, to continue to remain in that office as governor.
Well, and the Inspector General of Police now, no less, has been told to take over the security of the entire situation there. So they're going to, it means it's become a priority. It's become a priority, and whatever happened in the past, maybe they're not going to be looking in that direction.
We want to appreciate Mr. President for that. Our own take as, a people, as citizens of Benue State, is to continue to appeal to Mr. Governor in the event that he feels that he can still continue to provide leadership in this circumstance. And but like I said earlier, if I were in his shoes, I would appeal to Mr. President in a very solemn way to say this problem has actually overwhelmed me. Look around for any legitimate, solution that can be, deployed to address the problem. Except he does not feel, for these people. And the truth of the matter is that we don't know where next. We don't know who is going to be affected tomorrow. It could be the politicians.
We don't even know the nature of the enemy, really, right now.
No, the security agencies have a better understanding of the problem.
Okay.
The Chief of Defense Staff is already in Benue State. He's already gathering intelligence. So the comments from Mr. Governor, I think one quick solution to it is to stop Mr. Governor from making this, show of falsehood on daily basis on national television. Okay. Because as long as he continues to, make suggestions that are different from the situation on ground, it's not going to help the security situation in Benue State.
Well, these are very, how does one put it? These are very heavy words, towards and against your governor.
Sir, you don't need a soothsayer that in a state where we elected politicians are representative of the people, over 400 of our people have been killed just within a period of 48 hours, that we have not failed. They elected all of us, we have failed. We have failed our people. That is why the situation is there. And if we do not make this truthful confession, first we must go before our creators to say, God, we have failed you. Two, we must admit before our people to say, we have failed. And lastly, Mr. Governor, who collects the security vote, who is the chief security officer of the state, who has been the chief-in-chief of everything in Benue State, who has taken responsibility for the taxpayers' resources, for the revenue of the state, he has, the biggest blame. And he should be the first, to make this confession before Nigerians. Well, he should be the first to tell the Benue people that I have failed.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much for coming along, Honorable Philip Agbese. I know this is a matter that is very, very, painful to your heart. Also heard from your brother Daniel Ihomum, APC Benue State Publicity Secretary, as well as the security analyst and security expert that has spoken to us. We're going to have to leave all the matters till the president comes tomorrow, and hopefully there will be a breakthrough of something, of some manner, because this just can't continue the way it is going. So, Honorable Philip Agbese, thank you very much for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure.
Indeed. Okay, so that's our program. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folari. Bye-bye for now.